Welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Charlotte. I'm Eve Stevens, one of the ministers on staff. You'll see in a few moments my colleague John Herrick, our director of music, on piano. We are delighted to have you with us again or for the first time. Welcome. Hope sometimes surprises us, overcomes us without our having to search for it. A gift from elsewhere, the feeling that first tells us that what we long for is possible, however improbable. Hope gets our hearts beating with more energy. We feel the thrill of possibility and confidence in the worthwhileness of our loftiest dreams. Hope visits everyone, but there are those among us who make use of hope the way an artist makes use of inspiration. Just as an artist responds to inspiration with determination and tenacity, wrestling doubt, knowing inspiration alone is not enough, struggling to create something of lasting beauty. There are those among us who rise to meet the thrill of hope with their own effort and energy, their own determination and tenacity, working, knowing hope alone is not enough to create movement toward the world we long to live in. Welcome all. We're so glad that you are with us, and I invite you now to share your greetings and your messages of welcome with one another on our public Facebook page.
Good morning. We're the Greens. This is
I'm Jennifer.
this is
Abby.
and I'm Pete. And today we're going to read chalice lighting words from Emily Dickinson. We light our chalice, symbol of our liberating faith, in the words of Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all.
What's that?
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Tom Cole. My wife, Carol Hartley, and I, and our two children, Sarah and Patrick, have been attending the UUCC since 1998. This time of separation has made me all the more aware of how much I cherish the UUCC as an institution and the people within it. Thank you, everybody, for making this a place, a community I can look back on with such affection, whose strength I can feel now, and that I can look forward to rejoining with such joy. I've been asked this morning to read a poem by Macrina Wiedeker. It is untitled. I was just thinking this morning during meditation how much alike hope and baking powder are, quietly getting what is best in me to rise, awakening the hint of eternity within. I always think of that when I eat biscuits now, and wish that I could be more faithful to the hint of eternity, the baking powder in me.
On the 10th anniversary of his escape from enslavement, the great orator, writer, and social reformer Frederick Douglass wrote an open letter to his former so-called master, and he published that letter in the North Star newspaper. Douglass wrote of his life in slavery, how his hopes of escape always haunted him, but his fear always won out, his fear that any escape was futile. It wasn't until the day that his hope grew as strong as his fear that he dared to escape, and in broad daylight at that. Douglass writes to Auld in this open letter, "The hopes which I had treasured up for weeks of a safe and successful escape from your grasp were powerfully confronted at this last hour by dark clouds of doubt and fear, making my person shake and my bosom to heave with the heavy contest between hope and fear." Douglass continues, "I have no words to describe to you the deep agony of soul which I experienced on that never to be forgotten morning. For yes, I left by daylight, yet I was making a leap in the dark. The probabilities, so far as I could by reason determine them, were stoutly against the undertaking. I was like one going to war without weapons, 10 chances of defeat to 1 of victory. This is, of course, when hope is most necessary, when all logic tells us that what we hope for cannot be. For Douglas, his journey to freedom began the day he put his life fully in the hands of his hope, come what may. Hope, that feeling that something we long for is possible, no matter how distant or impossible it may seem right now. Douglas spent his life as a free man, speaking and acting as if the most impossible ideals of human liberation were possible. Every crowd who gathered to hear Douglas heard a man who spoke with absolute clarity and confidence, as if it were possible that slavery, the bedrock of wealth for the most powerful, influential, comfortable members of society, the foundation of the American economy, the institution so woven into every aspect of our culture, Douglas spoke with certainty as if that institution could end. Douglas traveled from city to city alongside leaders of the women's suffrage movement and spoke as if this country, with its 19th century laws and customs prohibiting women from utilizing their own will and wit outside the home, this country, Douglas was sure, was a place where women someday would vote. Hope is not optimism, that uncomplicated sense that all is well, that all will be well. The outcome of things we hope for is never promised or certain. Hope is not unfamiliar with injustice and pain, rather it is found in the midst of them. Those who choose, as Douglas did, to immerse themselves in hope live with a kind of double vision. They see the world as it is and as it could be simultaneously. This way of seeing means they cannot make peace with the way things are. Those who take the experience of hope seriously find they feel most alive when they join communities and movements attempting to build the world that their hope tells them is possible. We all receive moments of inspiration, but not all of us sit down to the difficult, long hours required to shape the clay or fill the canvas with color. Not all of us channel that creative energy that comes to us from elsewhere into work that creates something beautiful and lasting. We all receive hope, sometimes it feels like a gift from elsewhere. This kind of double vision, forever seeing the world as it is and as it could be at once. But there are those who take it further, who receive hope as a kind of responsibility or charge to create movements and change. Those who live by hope, who put their lives in the hands of hope fully, have seen what it would be like to live in a world where the inherent worth of all people is a given, where the land and our fellow creatures do not belong to us, but with us, a world where our life is built on the foundation of honoring our interdependence. And once you live by hope, you glimpse this impossible future. You get restless with things as they are. And you go out in search of those who gather together to lead movements for change, realizing that the only way to taste that distant, longed for, more just future, the only way to glimpse what it might look like, the only way to feel the rhythm of a never yet realized way of life, is to join the struggle that seeks to create it. For Douglass, joining in the abolitionist and women's suffrage movements was a way to spend time in that not yet world. We heard earlier the poem from Macrina Widecker, in which she marvels at the way that hope quietly gets what is best in us to rise. And she wonders how to be more faithful to hope, to that hint of eternity within us. Those of you who walked or ran 2.23 miles this Friday to mark the birthday of Ahmaud Arbery. Those of you who have ventured out to work with our congregational partners, not knowing at first what you were getting into, then committing more and more deeply. Those of you who have shown up to honk horns and yell out of car windows to draw attention to the still more precarious lives of our homeless neighbors during this pandemic. You have used your gift of seeing simultaneously the world as it is and as it could be, a gift that belongs to all human beings if we choose to embrace it. You've wrestled misgivings and doubt and chosen still to give your hope shape and substance. You have been faithful to the hint of eternity within. You are living by hope, and little by little, the world is changing because of it. Blessed be. Amen.
I can change the world with my own two hands, make it a better place with my own two hands, make it a kinder place with my own two hands, with my own two hands. I can make peace on earth with my own two hands. I can clean up the earth with my own two hands. I can reach out to you with my I can hold you with my own two hands, and I can comfort you with my own two hands, but you gotta use your own two hands, use your own two hands, use your own two hands, with our own two hands, with our own two hands, with my own two hands.
I'm imagining that meditation might be even easier than usual if you have a large screen and all you're looking at is me with this nice spare white blank background. Perhaps you can focus on the blankness of this background as a way to clear your mind. Allow yourselves to breathe more deeply. Allow yourself this moment of meditation, this time set apart from the wild, scattered thoughts that may be filling your mind, the restlessness of your heart. Let's allow for silence to take up space for a moment and clear what is agitated within us. As you continue connecting with your breath, I offer you these words by Unitarian Universalist minister Victoria Safford. Our work is to plant ourselves at the gates of hope, not the prudent gates of optimism, which are somewhat narrower, nor the stalwart, boring gates of common sense, nor the strident gates of self-righteousness, which creak on shrill and angry hinges. People cannot hear us there, they cannot pass through. Nor the cheerful, flimsy garden gate of everything is going to be all right. But a different, sometimes lonely place. We must plant ourselves in the place of truth-telling about your own soul, first of all, and its condition, the place of resistance and defiance, the piece of ground from which you see the world both as it is and as it could be, as it will be, the place from which you glimpse not only struggle, but joy in the struggle. And we stand there, beckoning and calling, telling people what we are seeing, asking people what they see. I welcome you once again to this service. And again, I'm Eve Stevens, one of the ministers of this congregation. If you're watching this service and you're not already connected with us, I know the day will come, far off as it feels, when physical distancing measures are lifted to the fullest degree, and it's safe once again to sit side by side in our sanctuary. And when that happens, if you are a newcomer to this community, we look forward to welcoming you into that sanctuary with handshakes and warm hugs. But meanwhile, if you have questions about us or just want to get better connected, you can contact our membership coordinator, Kelly Green. Her email is Kelly, Kelly, at uuccharlotte.org. Immediately following this service, members check our member Facebook page for an additional chance to socialize and check in with one another. As we continue to navigate this time of physical isolation from one another, it may be harder to remember these days that you are not alone. We can't light candles each week in our sanctuary as we normally would, witnessing one another's weekly ups and downs, joys and sorrows. So it's more important now, more than ever, that if you need us, reach out to anyone, any member of our staff. If you have a celebration you want to share, if you have sorrow, grief you want to tell us about, we want to hear it. And to remind you that joy shared is twice the joy, and sorrow shared is half the sorrow. This past Friday, some of you walked or ran 2.23 miles on Ahmaud Arbery's birthday to honor his life and mourn his death in solidarity with Mr. Arbery's family and friends, and to show Charlotte and the larger world that you're watching, that you're invested in a just outcome. Thank you for giving others in this community your example. Thank you for giving others in our community and our country hope with your presence. We will continue to hold Ahmaud Arbery's family in our prayers. As always, we're holding all of you frontline workers in our hearts, and we thank you for all the seen and unseen ways that you're providing healing and help for our communities day after day. Thank you. Within our own congregation, we're sending love and prayers to Erica Blake and her family as they mourn the death of Erica's brother-in-law. We are celebrating this morning that one of our members, Marcia Kelly, has been honored with receiving the 2020 Bridge Builder Award, which is presented by the Mecklenburg Metropolitan Interfaith Network, which you may know as MECMIN. Marcia and her Migrant Assistance Project partner, Nicola Taylor, will be given this award at MECMIN's virtual Community Awards breakfast on May 27th. And do mark your calendars for May 27th, first thing, 7:30 a.m., because you are invited to join through Facebook Live, and we hope you will, to help Marcia celebrate. We are so proud and grateful for the work she's doing in our community. In a moment, we are going to hear a brief message of gratitude from our stewardship team, one of our many teams that is still finding time amidst other demands of sheltering in place and long work hours, long childcare hours. All of you congregational leaders who are serving on teams, thank you. And thank you to the stewardship team in particular this morning. And before we hear from them, I just want to add my thanks for your continued generosity, sending in your pledges each month, and also to those of you who have been sending in donations above and beyond your pledge. Thank you so much for your generosity.
We are your stewardship team. My name is Cindy Martinek. Thank you for your generous support.
My name is John Herrick. Thank you so much for your support.
My name is Gwen Movius. Thank you for your pledged support.
My name is Franklin McClellins. Thank you for your generous support.
I'm Kelly Green. Thank you for your generous support.
I'm John Burns. Thank you for supporting our community.
I'm Neil Sigmund. Thank you for your generous support.
My name is Ben Baxter. As your stewardship team, we are grateful for your ongoing support in this difficult time, with a special thank you to those who have been able to increase their pledge to help us address this year's budget deficit. We've made great progress to date, but we still need to close a $46,000 gap. If May is your pledging month, please return your pledge renewal form as soon as possible. You can also email Kelly Green directly to update your pledge. To all of you, thank you for giving our community hope.
Thank you for giving our community hope.
Thank you for giving us hope.
Thank you for giving our community hope.
Thank you for giving our community hope.
Thank you for giving our community hope.
Thank you for giving us hope.
Thank you for giving our community hope.
As you face the monotony, anxiety, and grief this pandemic keeps front and center day after day, hold these words from Rachel Carson close. Hope is a gift you don't have to surrender, a power you don't have to throw away. I'm sending love to each of you. Take good care and reach out when you need us.